Sir Daryll, I would just like to introduce myself first. So, my name is Leah, and currently I'm one of the recruiters handling the European and Latin American languages. We're very grateful, Daryl, for you. For having this interview with you. So, it's a great privilege for us to have
It's
you.
my pleasure. Thank you as well.
Before we proceed, Daryl, I would just like to know, since you have mentioned that you're there in Spain, and I think you're 5 years, 5 years, for five
Yeah,
years.
for 5 years now. Tagal-tagal na.
I see. Daryl, can you also please introduce yourself to our viewers so that they'll be able to know sino ka ba or ano ba yung trabaho mo and what you're doing there in Spain?
Hi everyone, I'm Daryl and I'm currently teaching English here in Spain. I moved here 5 years ago to do my master's in teaching Spanish. So that's also one of the things that I'm passionate about. I teach Spanish online and I teach English to Spanish students here in Spain because Spanish is already their language. I can't teach them that language. And most of the time I do content related to language teaching in here in on YouTube on my channel as well, Learn with Daryll. If you have encountered, that's why you encountered and you found me as well. I do content related to Spanish for Filipinos mostly.
Exactly. Yun nga, Mr. Daryl, upon seeing your vlog in YouTube po regarding the Spanish language, about your Spanish content, we are really eager po talaga and passionate for this interview. Aside from that, I would just like to know why, all of the other European and Latin American languages, why Spanish?
I think it's because it's one of those languages. If you think about it, Spanish is one of the most spoken languages around the world. Also, it's close to our heritage, as we were a former colony of Spain, and also I wanted to study the language more so that I could travel to different countries. Well, for now, I've just traveled to Spain and around Europe, but I haven't been to any Latin American countries. And also, yeah, I decided to take European languages when I was still studying in the university in the Philippines. So that's my major. I was majoring in Spanish and then my minor was French. So I was really inclined into studying foreign languages.
I see. Since you have mentioned, Daryl, that your minor is French language, why weren't you able to pursue the French language instead?
As my career, because there were a lot of opportunities as well. Until now, I still use the language whenever I do translation, for example, for e-commerce products. Like I translate from English to Spanish or sometimes from French to Spanish. So it's still one of those languages that I use these days as my part-time job as freelancer as well. So marami-raming racket din. So yun ang mga ginagawa natin.
I see. Actually nowadays, Daryl, I really agree with you. Nowadays I think for me, hindi rin sapat na currently employed ka lang on a certain company. Mas better siguro na meron kang mga sidelines.
Like side hustles, yeah. So even before when I was studying at the University of the Philippines, I was already tutoring some Asians as well, Korean, Taiwanese, other nationalities as well who wanted to learn the language. So I was already doing side hustles, and it's really important, especially if you're helping your family. And that's one of the things that I do as well. So if I want to have my own money but still help my family, I need to have some other things.
Aside from that, how was your first year in studying Spanish language? In what part or ano yung pinaka naging challenge sa'yo in learning the language?
To be honest with you, the language that I learned when I was already in the university was Japanese. But then it was too difficult for me I wasn't failing the subject, but I think as a person we are inclined more into a specific language sometimes. So when I was already there, I was trying to figure out what kind of language I want to do. I just figure out that Spanish is closer, and also there's a lot of words already that I already know. It's not easy, but it's closer to our language at least. So I think one of the problems, I guess, that I had before was listening, because I wasn't listening to a lot of audio in Spanish. So whenever someone talks to me, like, I couldn't respond rapidly. So I think a lot of learners can relate to that. So when you are just starting.
And then, when you got there in Spain, Daryll, I would also like to know. I'm just curious. So, is there someone who helped you in going there in Spain, or I mean, yung parang pinakasariling sikap lang talaga?
I love applying to scholarships, and that's what I did when I was still at the university. I applied to a scholarship to go to France. I was just curious about it, and I applied, and they posted it on the wall in our building, and I said, why not apply to the scholarship? And I got in, luckily. So I studied there also for a year, and then I came back again to finish my bachelor's. After finishing my bachelor's in UP, I started working as a teacher for a year, teaching Spanish as well to high school students. And then after that, I said I wanted to go back to Europe. So I look at the programs again for my master's, and I was eligible. So I applied again for a scholarship, and then I got in. So to answer your question, sariling sikap. Sariling sikap. I didn't have anyone. I didn't have any sponsor. It was just a scholarship that I got that made me come and study here.
Easy. Actually, I mean, the reason why I asked the question, because the European language course is very common here, especially in QC. I know na yung answer mo, Daryll, can also encourage the other students who are planning to go and work abroad. I think that's a good start. And then, I mean, upon entering Spain, so how were you able to cope up with the culture? What are your adjustments?
There weren't a lot of adjustments, because when I came here, that's already my second time to be in Europe. I was here in 2012. That was in France for a year, so I kind of know already what the culture is, and also I already know how to mingle with people, different nationalities. And also when I came to Spain, I already knew how to speak Spanish. That's my major. I've been studying that for like 4 years since I started learning the language when I was still in UP. So adjustment, I guess, probably the weather, or probably not seeing your family because I'm living alone. I just have a lot of friends here who are also doing the same program, teaching English. But then, yeah, it's still different. Yeah, a little bit of adjustment because I already know the language. And I think it's really important for you to know the language of the country that you're visiting or the country that you plan to live in. So I think it minimizes the culture shock and also anything that you'll find as difficult, for instance.
I see. So, of course, gusto ko lang rin malaman, Daryll. Like, for example, upon entering Spain, were you able to be like bullied, or, you know, because you're a different national, you're a foreigner in the country. So how was the Hispanic treated you?
To be honest, I haven't experienced like any type of bullying as far as I can remember. But then, yeah, it can happen. It can happen to different people as well, probably. But those people who do that are more often than not, they they haven't really studied, like they live on the streets or
Mm.
they just don't know much about other culture. That's why not really bullying, but then they call you names like Chino or whatever. I haven't experienced that much probably because I don't know, I think it depends on the features as well of people. So if you look kind of leaning towards more Asian type, but no, I don't think there's a lot of that here in Spain, to be honest. People are really friendly and nice. But I can just say that sometimes probably it happens, but in general they're really nice.
And then, how long it takes for you to be proficient with the language?
It depends on the learner. If you keep on building your vocabulary is more important than grammar. Although the grammar sets as your guide in constructing your sentences, your paragraphs. And I always tell my students that keep on developing your vocabulary and know the basic foundation of grammar. So present tense, past tense, future, yung mga tatlong tenses na yan.
Mm.
And then keep on building your vocabulary and you have to practice. Practice and practice. Kasi ako dati ganun ako eh. Hindi ako nahihiyang magkamali. So it's really important to commit mistakes, to be corrected, and it's a trial and error every time. But yeah, if you keep on reading, practicing, speaking, listening, so lahat yun.
Yeah. And then, Daryl, what was your lowest moments in Spain and your highest?
Lowest moment? Yeah, probably homesickness sometimes as a foreigner when you miss your family. And I think that's just one of the things that I could say because I have everything here, so I don't really miss a lot of things back home. So it's just the people, the friends, of course, and family. Highest moments, I guess, when I'm able to travel and also do the things that I want, because here you can do literally anything because people are open-minded and they accept different kinds of people as well. So yeah, I think to be able to be yourself without being judged, I guess it's one of the highest moments that you could have when you're traveling to Spain. Di ba? Kunyari, pupunta ka sa beach, kung magtutupis ka or mag-ano ka lang, walang paki yung mga tao. You go to the bar, you dance, you do everything. And people don't mind because they're doing their own thing. So, I think, yeah, yun yung isa sa mga masayang bagay. Yeah.
I see. So it seems like, liberated din yung mga tao in Spain.
Liberated, I should say open-minded, because liberated it kind of feel like they're doing all, but then it's more of like being open to different things. As long as you're not bothering them, you can do whatever things that you want. So liberty, I guess they have the liberty to express who they are. Diba sa atin democratic country naman, pero may gagawin ka pero daming sinasabi ng tao. So here I learned to also accept myself more, to do things that I want. Kasi before, for example, I was shy of posting videos online, speaking to people about myself and what I know, because I was afraid of being judged. But as I grew a little bit older, I just realized na I don't really have to think about it. If they don't like it, it's fine. It's not for me to be sad or to be depressed. So parang yan, wala, ganun yung natutunan ko.
Not most of the time naman kasi may alam mo yun, gusto tayo ng mga tao. So may times talaga na alam mo yun, may ibang tao na hindi din tayo gusto, but it's normal.
Yeah, and it's 2022. I think what we should learn from the pandemic, it's still ongoing, is that if you really want to do something and you want to study a language, you want to travel, you want to pursue a particular goal, then just do it. If you think that you're not hurting anyone, or you think that it's for the benefit of yourself, for your growth, don't think too much about it. No, don't think too much about what people are gonna say, because I think that's one of the toxic Filipino traits sometimes. As Filipinos, we are very caring and we love, involving ourselves. But then sometimes nagiging ano tayo, pakilamera. So you don't bother them. Yeah, and then that's what I appreciate the most.
And then, Daryl, can you also provide tips or advices for those students or those aspiring students who want to learn Spanish language?
To those who are learning the Spanish language, I also run, for example, a Facebook page that is called Learn with Daryll. I post a lot of content there related to learning Spanish. So if they want to know more about how to learn the Spanish language, then they can. I mean, it's free, and I really want to make it free for everyone. So I post a lot of content, and it's right now I'm trying to do more of TikTok videos because last month I got sick, so I wasn't able to post anything. So yeah, like I have to post more. But to go back to your question, like advice that I could give, just start, get something that they can. People would always say that they don't have time. I don't have time. I need to do this and that. But you really have time. If you can browse anything from your Facebook app, you can study. Get a Duolingo app, download it, and then every day learn one word. One word a day can be 30 words in a month. Or if you want to learn more, then increase that. So 60 words a month, and then you repeat that. So language learning is like building a muscle. If you are working out in the gym, you have to continuously do that every single day. So if you want to improve, you want to work on something, you have to continuously do what you need to do. So regardless of whatever circumstances, I guess, because yeah, we will and you will always have excuses to not do what you need to do. So I think learning a language is also like that. It's a muscle that we need to develop every day.
And also, tingin ko that I can add to that, yung perseverance. It always depends on the people na kasi. Like, kung hindi ka consistent, wala ring mangyayari. Like,
yeah, the mindset. I think mindset is very important when it comes to learning anything. When I teach my students, I don't just teach them the language and the culture. I also try to encourage them and always tell them to have this kind of mindset, to organize everything, their learning, their schedule, so that they can work on their own progress. The teacher is just a teacher.
Yes.
I facilitate learning. I'm not the one who's going to speak. I'm not the one who's going to memorize, read, and write. So even if they say, oh, Daryll is really good, but if the student is not doing their part, they're not gonna progress. And I think that's one of the things that people should learn, that your progress doesn't always depend on the teacher. It could be 20% teacher, but it's always 80% student. So the role of the teacher or trainer is to give you or guide you in whatever it is that you need to learn. But then you have to do your part as well. Kasi I think yan yung sa mga Pilipino, yung parang ito na lang piliin kong teacher kasi magaling or ano. Which is not bad, to be honest, because you know that the teacher is trained to do that. Like I myself, I'm trained to teach. I'm not just a person who just go there and post online, but I don't have anything against those people. But if you were really trying to learn and have the basic foundation, kailangan meron kang trainer. And then later on, pag nag-advance ka na, you can study on your own kasi alam mo na yung basic foundation ng grammar. So, research ka na, magbabasa-basa ka na on your own. And also, ang difference kasi ngayon, in comparison nung nag-aaral pa ako dati nung nasa UP pa ako, available yung mga podcasts and everything, but then it wasn't as big as it is right now na may internet, as in sobra talaga lahat, pwede mo nang mapanood and ano. And that's actually the beauty of technology. You can access anything and learn anything online right now without actually having to pay anyone to do that. So, but obviously, I also encourage people to get trainer. Diba kung merong fitness trainer, meron din tayong language trainer, it's really important to have trainers. So, sa first pa lang ng ano mo, kung gusto mo mag-aral ng Chinese, Japanese, kung ano man ang gusto mong language o Spanish for instance, kailangan may nagtuturo, nagtitrain sa'yo to know the basics of pronunciation. Yan. Iba lalo na kunyari sa French, iba yung pronunciation din, mas mahirap. Tapos yung spelling, iba yung spelling sa bigkas. So, yeah, you need to have a trainer for you to be able to do that. So,
Exactly. And then, aside from that, if you were about to choose, ano yung mas mahirap aralin? French language or Spanish?
it depends on the person, to be honest. But if you ask me, I guess Spanish when it comes to pronunciation. But then later on, I picked up like French easily because I was really interested in the language, and I don't know, probably it depends on someone's tongue. There are people who can produce the sounds properly, and there are people who can't. So in my case, for example, Japanese was so hard for me when I was first starting, just because I couldn't memorize the characters. Diba, meron silang tatlong alphabet, may kanji, hiragana, katakana, may mga ganun pa. So I was doing okay, but probably because I wasn't really into like anime, manga, so I didn't really appreciate, because when you learn something, you try to incorporate what you're learning with the social media, with videos, with music, diba? Ganon. So I encourage people as well to do that. Lalo ngayon may Netflix. Manood sila ng series ng Money Heist. Try
Yes.
nila in Spanish or Elite, mga ganyan, diba? So, hindi lang siya, pag ina-incorporate mo siya sa daily life mo, parang naging part na siya ng daily routine. Yung parang hindi siya forced, yung parang kunyari, ito ay 1 hour ako mag-i-Spanish ganito. Ay 1 hour ako ganito. Parang mas maganda siya yung kahit nag-workout ka na, nakikinig ka ng music, meron kang lyrics na binabasa. So, as an advice, try to find a language that probably you're interested in, so that it's not a burden for you to learn the language na kailangan mong upuan at aralin. Although, may iba ginagawa yan kasi gusto nila mag-call center, marami daw pera. But to be honest with you, when I first started out learning the language, I didn't know much about the money that I could get from that. Although I worked only for few months in a call center, mas mataas yung pay niya kaysa dun sa ordinary na mga agent. But then I didn't really know much about it, and obviously it's not something that I'm really passionate about, like being in the call center. I started teaching, and I would still go back to teaching, and then when I discovered the platform like YouTube to actually do that, and now TikTok as well for like short videos, and I said yeah, I wanted to continue. So
I see. So parang iba talaga. I mean, it hits you differently if you're really passionate with what you're doing.
Oo, parang hindi masyadong forced. So kailangan mo siyang i-incorporate dun sa daily habits mo. Kasi sabihin mo wala kang time, pero nagko-commute ka, nakikinig ako ng podcast. Nagwo-workout ako, makikinig ako ng something. It's not about the language anymore. Probably I'm listening to other things right now. I'm listening to things related to what I'm doing, such as, for example, social media, mga ganon. So, kung yun ang passion mo, makinig ka, manood ka ng videos, read about it.
And then, so Daryll, let's talk about vlogging. So how did you come out vlogging with language?
I started 3 years ago, but I wasn't consistent about it because when I started, that was 3 years ago, and I wasn't really sure about my niche. It was more about what I do here. But right now, I'm trying to focus more on teaching the language and also my life as a teacher. So I try to divide both.
And then I remember you have mentioned earlier that you're not that comfortable at first in teaching in YouTube, in online platform. So what motivated you to build the channel?
I was motivated to be an educational YouTuber because in the Philippines, it's not a lot. I follow some, like for example, Team Laika. I think it's one of the channels that I follow when it comes to educational content, because I feel like in the Philippines, we should have the platform as well to educate people, not just to make them laugh. But in my channel right now, I'm trying to strike a balance between having humor and educational content at the same time. Alam mo na may mga Pilipino, basta nakakatawa lang, yun na yung kinoconsume. Hopefully, in the few years, we will see a lot of Filipinos who are going to teach anything online. Kahit ano, like kunyari, gardening. Gawa sila ng videos about gardening. It doesn't have to be math, science, English, or Spanish. I'm just saying that because people can really teach anything online these days. And that's the power of it. Before I was hesitant to teach people because bakit ako magtuturo? Eh, hindi naman ako Espanyol. Hindi naman ako Latino. But then, you know, like I was inspired by people who are actually learning and also teaching what they know to their community. So I think that people should learn that you can teach anything even if you are not yet an expert. Show your progress online. Show what you know. And people can relate to that. So you don't have to be an expert at a particular field to teach anything. Each of us can teach whatever it is that we learn. So ayun yung natutunan ko. So after noon, hindi na ako, kahit parang feeling ko may mga friends ako na parang, ayun ba yan, ginagawa niya online, kala mo naman. But then right now, like, before I used to be affected by it, but right now I don't really care. As long as there are people who support me and also see the value in what I do. So I think that's really something that is wonderful about online thing. You can share either things that are valuable or things that are useless sometimes, no?
So, Daryll, yeah, that's correct. I do agree with that. At saka iba kasi yung learning kapag may nagtuturo sa'yo and iba rin yung learning kapag yung ikaw lang yung nagtuturo sa sarili mo. Mas siya, mas na-enhance, mas natututo ka kapag may nag-guide sa'yo kahit papaano.
Yeah, and it also it's essential to have an accountability buddy, I guess. I guess as a teacher, parang napupush ka kasi parang may nagsasabi sa iyo na ito yung homework mo, gawin mo na may deadline. But usually kasi, pag ako rin as a learner, if I'm learning something, kung walang nagpupush sa akin, parang hindi ko na gagawa kasi parang walang sense of urgency na tinatawag. So, it's good if you don't have a teacher, yung friend mo, sabihin mo, oy, gisingin mo ako ng ganitong oras, mag-aaral ako. And when we say studying, it doesn't have to be 1 hour. It can be 15 minutes a day. Kasi sabihin ng tao, walang time. But then you have really the time. Meron ka nga time mag-scroll ng Facebook eh. Sabihin mo, 10 minutes a day. Tapos sabihin ng iba, ay, ang ikli naman. But 10 minutes a day, tapos consistent ka, ilang oras yun in a year. Diba? I'm a fan as well of productivity. So I really tell my students to have this technique of blocking time for learning. Even if 5 minutes a day lang yan. Or 5 minutes ka nakikinig ng podcast. After 5 minutes, edi tigilan mo na and then move on with your other activities. So, yun yung pwede nilang gawin.
And then, as a teacher, what are the challenges that you were able to handle with the students?
To be honest, I've taught a lot of students since I was a teenager until now. I'm still teaching. I'm currently teaching Spanish students. I'm teaching English in a language academy. I've been doing that for 5 years now, alongside teaching Spanish. Challenges naman siguro, paano ba? Depende rin sa student eh. Pero usually, I guess preparation every time. You have to always be prepared. And sometimes your preparation isn't enough. So you have to think about things that you need to do on the spot. That's really important as a teacher. You have to be flexible. You have to know the needs of your students. And you have to make sure that everyone's just enjoying their time learning. Because that's what you need to do. You need to tell the kids that learning a language is not something that difficult and draining. It should be fun and at the same time entertaining, you know. So I think striking the balance of teaching students to appreciate the language by making them feel good about it. So ayun, parang laging dapat ganon, parang encouraging the students to learn the language. Yan, ganon. Challenging talaga yan.
And then is there a difference ba between Spanish student and also a Filipino student?
Since I taught Filipino students before, when it comes to Filipino students, kasi medyo nosy sila, di ba? Parang dami nilang ina-ask about your personal lives. But dito naman kasi parang they don't care about your life. They don't ask anything about it because it's not their business. But then when it comes to learning, parang pareho lang din naman. Nag-aaral din naman sila. Nag-aaral din naman. Iba-iba kasi nung nasa Pilipinas ako, high school students tinuturuan ko. So medyo iba yung dynamics niya, and it's an all-girls school pa. So iba lang yung educational system. Diba kunyari dito, dyan puro may mga sir ma'am. Dito kasi hindi uso yung mga sir ma'am. By first name basis. So actually it's my first time again to be called sir because usually just Daryll lang. Kasi I don't mind, to be honest. Yun may pangalan ko eh. Sa Philippines kasi, there's always this hierarchy na kailangan tawag sa'yo ma'am, tawag sa'yo sir, ganyan. Ikaw si ganito, ikaw si ganyan. Dito, people don't really care about it. They just, yung principal namin, I just call him sa pangalan niya. Hindi siya issue. Parang, I think it's a type of culture lang talaga. Usually, Asian culture, ganyan eh. Parang kailangan may
paggalang talaga na ano.
It doesn't mean na may paggalang kasi even if you call me Daryll, that's my name. It's just that people are used to it na parang pag sir, mas magalang. Pero dito, magalang din naman yun. Pag tinawag mo siya, oh Maria, eto na yung mga gagawin natin. So hindi naman siya bastos. It's just the way that they do it. First name basis.
I see. And then, aside from that, ano yung pinaka-tingin mong laki ng kinaibahan ng educational system ng Spain and ng Philippines?
Obviously, in the Philippines, we have Filipino and English. Whereas here, we just use Spanish as a medium of instruction. But then, if you are in a bilingual school, they incorporate English as well. Parang sa Philippines na din. Kinaibahan, mas maraming resources dito. May whiteboard, may projector, may ganyan. Which is hindi lahat ng school meron sa Philippines. Parang minsan, privilege talaga yung mga bata kasi they have all these resources. Hindi katulad sa Philippines, ang dami pang, di ba, drama na yung mga school pinupuntahan, walang access sa ganito, ganyan. Which is something that hopefully in the future can be provided to a lot of Filipinos as well. Kasi dito, libre yung pag-aaral until nila mag-reach ng parang high school. If I'm not mistaken. But it depends. Pag public, syempre. Pero pag kunwari private, pag super private, syempre nagbabayad sila, di ba? So, parang ganun din ata sa Philippines. But then, yung public nila, okay na din kasi doon ako nag-work dati. So, hindi siya yung parang kukulangan sa ganito, so ganyan. So, yun yung major difference talaga na nakita ko na I wish in the Philippines we would have more access to that. Like the type of education. Kasi, kunwari ako, sabihin ko sa'yo, I feel privileged na makapag-aral sa UP kasi hindi naman lahat nakapag-aral doon. And feeling ko, dapat yung mga Filipinos, lahat tayo, meron tayong equal access to the same quality of education, which is hindi talaga siya naibibigay sa lahat. Kaya rin tayo minsan, iba-iba tayo ng level ng understanding sa mga bagay kasi iba-iba yung level ng na-attain natin na education. But hopefully in the future, alam mo yon, I just wish na just like learning Spanish or other foreign languages, it would be available for people. And the beauty of that is it's for free online. Everything is for free. Do it online, have the motivation, do it yourself. Don't think too much about it. Just do it. Do it 10 minutes a day or 5 minutes a day. As long as you do it consistently, you will do really well in whatever it is that you're learning.
Exactly. And then, Daryll, I would just like to know as well, 'di ba? May mga Filipinos kasi na if in case na gusto nilang pumunta rin ng Spain. So, what advice can you give to them? Like, is it better to study the Spanish language first or much better na dyan nila aralin yung Spanish?
You know what? It doesn't matter where you are as long as you really want to study the language. You don't have to go here to study a language. I've never been here. It was my first time to be here. when I got the scholarship. But I was studying in the Philippines before coming here. Excuse na lang yun ng mga tao. Isipin nila, ay, kailangan ko magpunta ng China para matuto ng Chinese. Kung gusto mo mag-aral ka ngayon. Open mo yung YouTube mo, libre lang, 'di ba? YouTube is a good platform to learn anything because it's for free. Dahil people want more views from their videos. So they teach you everything and people will follow you if you post videos. So lahat nandito na sa YouTube. I don't think you have to be anywhere else in the world to learn language. Kailangan mag-aral ka ng French, pupunta ka ng France. May mga senior ako dati na kasabayan sa school na galing-galing na mag-French. Sa Philippines lang din naman nag-aral. Kunyari sa French, I enhanced my French as well. I took a proficiency exam sa Alliance Française dyan sa Makati. Instituto Cervantes, nag-take din ako ng DELE, dyan yung certificate ng before coming here sa Spain, sa Instituto Cervantes. Kung gusto niyo naman nila German, Goethe Institute. I don't know if I pronounce it well, but Goethe Institute, something like that. So, yeah, you don't have to be in that country. Kasi usually, sa Philippines, mas mura mag-aral ng language. So, if you wanna plan on going anywhere, mag-aral na muna dyan, tapos dito pumunta. Kung gusto nila.
And if in case na they have plans in going there in Spain, do they have to have the certificate of proficiency level or hindi naman?
Depende kasi saan sila for traveling purposes, hindi naman kailangan. Kung work naman, for now kasi dami ding unemployed dito, so parang hindi siya katulad ng ibang countries na maraming work. So medyo mahirap pa. Kataon lang na yung pumunta ako, I was on a scholarship and then later on, I found a way on how to work as an assistant language teacher. So, depende talaga siya.
You see? Kasi, like for example, in Germany, as far as I know, you're not allowed, bago ka makapagtrabaho in Germany, you have to be a B2 certified at least. So, in Spain, wala namang ganong program or wala naman silang ganong like law or prerequisition.
Hindi naman. Depende sa work mo. Pero, ang Spain kasi, iba sa Germany. Sa Germany kasi maraming trabaho dyan. Dito kasi wala masyado, sa totoo lang. So, kung pupunta ka dito para maghanap ng work, ang hirap kasi nga marami nang walang work. Kahit na may B2 ka pa. So, usually talaga yung work sa Spanish related part kung nasa Philippines ka kasi may mga work na kinikater for Latin American countries, parang ganon.
And then, can you also give us some advice? Give the students some advice, lalo na yung mga students na napanghinaan ng loob, na demotivate sa pag-aaral ng Spanish language. So, ano yung pinaka ma-advise mo sa kanila to keep going?
Ayun lang, wag silang masyado magmaganda. Demotivated? Actually, choice mo yan. If you are demotivated, it means that it's not really for you or you don't really feel it. Because if you feel demotivated right now, maybe that's not your passion and you don't really like it. Why force yourself into learning Spanish? Maybe you want to learn how to cook or you want to learn how to be a professional, skater. Like, do something that you really want. And also, if you have started learning something, remind yourself about the reason why you started in the first place. Bakit ka ba nag-start? Ganun kasi ako. Minsan ganun din ako. I remind myself, ayoko na mag-YouTube kasi parang katamad, parang wala naman nag-view. Parang ayoko na, ganyan. But then, sabi ko, bakit ba ako nag-start? Tapos na-realize ko, more than the views and anything, it's really the people that I'm able to help. Right now, for example, after this, in 15 minutes pala may klase na ako, I teach Spanish to Filipino immigrants. Yan. Yun, always remind yourself, bakit mo ba ginagawa to? Para kanino ka ba bumabangon? Ano ba ang ginagawa mo? Just like anything in life, ganun. Always remind yourself why you do what you do. Parang ganun.
For the last part, thank you so much, Daryll, for having this interview with us. So, sobrang thank you talaga. For sure, itong interview na to, maraming may inspire na students, maraming may inspire na tao, especially those people who wants or who are interested in studying the Spanish language. So, can you also plug or invite the viewers your YouTube channel?
Hi everyone, if you're interested in learning the Spanish language, you could visit my TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube page. I post content about learning Spanish as well because I believe that Filipinos can learn the Spanish language even if you're not good at English. Kasi misconception yan na kailangan marunong ka, magaling ka mag-English. Hindi yun yung kailangan nyo. You can literally learn the language even without knowing how to communicate properly in English. So just visit our page and you can suggest anything that you want as well and interact with a lot of people, and hopefully you're gonna learn more as well. And I think one of the best ways to learn a language is to learn it from people who have experienced it as well, not just from people who are native, because people always say like I want a native teacher and I want someone who speaks the language from that country. It's good. I mean, I don't have anything against those people, but if you want to try to learn the language in a way that your fellow kababayans know how to do it, giving you tips on how to do it, then I'm here to help you with that as well. Giving you tips on how I learn it and the way that you could learn as well the language. So hopefully you learn the language and start immersing yourself using the social media platforms that we have, and be motivated to do it, and always think about the reasons why you are learning the language. So ayun lang. Thank you so much for inviting me here. I hope that you learned something from me today, and hopefully mas mag-grow pa ang ating channel this 2022. And ayun, maraming salamat po.
So, Daryll, how can you say goodbye and salamat in Spanish?
Bueno, aquí en España decimos adiós y hasta pronto. So it's goodbye and see you soon. Adiós y hasta pronto. And muchas gracias. So thank you, salamat. And yeah, see you soon.